Killing Floor 3 has been out for over the past few days now, and I've had the pleasure of spending money to buy this mixed bag and play 32 hours of this thing. Today, I'm here to answer the question on whether or not Killing Floor 3 is worth buying as of its full release, because the reviews are all over the place, and on a side note, unlike most games being review bombed to absolute oblivion nowadays, just look at Wu Chang for example, mostly negative, and we're not even a week into the release yet, though I have read some of the reviews and I can totally understand where they're coming from. Killing Floor 3 is definitely mixed in that some people are having fun and others aren't. Most of the negativity coming from fans of the previous two games. I consider myself a fan of KF2, but not so much KF1 because I haven't played that game as much, but I am more so on the positive side of this game for now, but not by much. I covered Killing Floor 3 in a previous video of mine where I gave my thoughts on the stress test, and going from the stress test to launch, not much has really changed. However, some of my opinions have shifted a bit, which I'll cover in this video for those who've watched it, and for those who are new and wondering whether it is a cop or a wait for sale. Let's get into it, shall we? Killing Floor 3 is a first-person survival horde shooter that sees you and up to 5 players take on waves and waves of what they call Zeds. It's basically zombies but with a different name. You pick one of 6 classes, each with different playstyles and weapons, jump into one of 8 maps, spawn with your starting loadout, complete waves, earn money or dosh as I like to call it, and spend said money at the trader to buy more powerful gear before eventually fighting the boss. The game's premise is simple and straight to the point. No Easter eggs like COD zombies or buying doors. Simply shoot, buy, shoot, buy. The concept is well executed across the series, with 3 being no exception. One of the things that were mentioned in my comments briefly for my stress test video were the game's graphics, and yes, it does look like shit, but it's because I made it look like this. Killing Floor 3 runs off of Unreal Engine 5 and uses the latest lighting tech called Lumen, a strong global illumination method of lighting designed to cast strong reflections and allow for more realistic and dynamic lighting. The problem with having this on in this game is that it's performance heavy and causes your frames to dip significantly, and since I'm recording, I had to lower my settings to have a chance at my game being stable. According to Tripwire Interactive, the game's studio, the game is strongly CPU bound, so even if you have a 4080 or a 9070 XT, it'll still come down to how good your CPU is. They are aware of this and have actually put it as a top priority on the game's roadmap, being the first of ongoing improvements that'll be rolled out over the coming months. So that's good. The game seriously looks nice with the lumen effects, and I'm pretty sure that they show those off in the game's screenshots and wherever else you can find official photos of it. So take it as you will. Still, even so with lumen or no lumen, the levels just feel bland and generic, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Perhaps it's the color palette or the sci-fi setting they're going for here, which at this point, I'd rather just take a modern, realistic setting like we had in the past. I mean, just look at the weapons they're planning to add in the roadmap. It's like Tripwire knew how bad their own setting and art style was, so they just decided to add modern weapons when they could have easily juiced these ones up like all the other weapons here. A massive improvement over the previous 2 games are the new skill trees, which are more in-depth and have more choices as opposed to picking one of 2 perks every 5 levels. All the footage you're seeing is from the Engineer class, a class that specializes in tools, shotguns, and this sound wave gadget thing, whatever the heck this is called. You have a range of skills, from passives giving you bonuses such as damage and more pellets, throwables which increase the power of your grenade, and gadgets, increasing the firepower and capability of your gadget. Gadgets are a new addition to Killing Floor that pretty much act like ultimates from hero shooters. Simply press a button and thing happens. You earn skills by gaining proficiency, which is done by doing tasks in game, such as killing Zeds, using tools, and completing waves, and honestly, this system is great, allowing players to create different playstyles and builds. You can also upgrade skills up to a maximum of 3 times, with the exceptions being the capacity increase for your throwable. My only feedback that I have here is that there should be some sort of respec system so that I can try new builds instead of having to commit to one build. What's a horde shooter without guns? The guns in this game are 50-50. On one hand, there's a good amount of variety thanks to the new weapon crafting system, but on the other hand, it just feels terrible to shoot and use. The weapon crafting system lets you handcraft and build your own weapons using materials gained from killing Zeds and destroying cameras and these like objects throughout the game. You first start by crafting an attachment, then gain one of many abilities or bonuses, which you have to upgrade to the max level in order to receive the bonus. At first, I thought this system was a terrible idea because of being given the power to make older weapons dumb stupid, but after playing around with it and giving it a second chance, I've changed my mind. This system is awesome and allows you to fine tune and make builds for different waves, setups, and bosses if you want to. Weapon attachments do come at a cost though. Literally. Each attachment has a dosh cost and adds to the cost of the weapon, so you need to be mindful of what you get. From my experience, it seems that if you want to go all in on a gun, you'll most likely just have to use that and nothing else unless you somehow obtain that amount of dosh to do so, and it can be pretty costly. So chances are you won't get your gun until either midway through a game or just before the boss wave. One of my favorite guns in the game, the Ifrit, is a laser weapon that has an incendiary beam for its primary fire and a single target projectile for its secondary fire and uses 3 attachments. I have a lightweight canister which boosts my reload speed but reduces the amount of ammo I have, a slow tick receiver which boosts my primary fire's damage but lowers my attack speed, and a faster rate barrel that gives it ammo efficiency, allowing me to create a weapon that doesn't require me to have a secondary and is great for melting fodder and / all groups of enemies. Builds will always have an advantage and disadvantage, and I think they managed to strike that balance pretty well because there's been times where I've sat in the armory and tried to make the perfect build, but I'd always be hindered one way or another. When you put these guns to use, it may feel good to see your new weapon shine and dish out some damage, but the overall animations and feel of these are subpar at best. Back in the closed beta, guns felt terrible to where there was no kick or recoil to any of these. Tripwire decided to act upon that by introducing a recoil system to the weapons which made them feel a bit better, but not by much. The guns sound like paintball guns or toy guns, lack any weight or punch, and the shooting just isn't satisfying at all. We really went from shooting bullets to shooting BBs. What hurts the most are the animations. They're just so robotic. I noticed this the moment I shot while sliding because they didn't even bother to animate the gun while it happened. It just fucking stood there. I have custom view models in Payday 2 and even that looks good, especially given the fact that it's on an ancient engine. They did some animating here for sure, but it's just terrible and I expected better from Tripwire. I forgot to mention there's melee weapons as well, but because of only playing the engineer and not the ninja class, I could only use this shitty knife, which, on a side note, I'm gonna go on a short rant here. Why does every class have the same knife? Every class in KF2 had its own unique melee weapon and they just decided to throw that out the window. Where's my shovel at? You have specialists in this game and even though they're planning to decouple them from the classes soon, they could have at least given each of them their own weapon to make up for their lack of personality. More on that later. I'll be honest, during my first few hours of Killing Floor 3, this game felt like straight garbage like a lot of the under 2 hour reviewers said on Steam. Pointless, silly, goofy, and questionable would be the best way to describe it. Hell, it goes as far as saying that this game is devoid of everything Killing Floor and shouldn't even be a Killing Floor game. And while I do think it's true for reasons I'll go into later, as I continue to play more and more and push towards hard difficulty, the game just sort of clicked, and I started to have more fun. I know that for a lot of titles it's always slow at the start and gets better once you put a good amount of time into it, but I feel like with horde shooters it should be fast and in your face from the moment it starts. I don't know, I just didn't feel that way with this game for a time, and it wasn't until the 10-hour mark when things started turning around and became more enjoyable. The Gore system in this game isn't as bad as everyone's putting it. I think people got too used to Gibbs and fluids from Killing Floor 2 or something. A shame that we won't be seeing Nvidia physics going forward because of the latest cards bricking that feature and ending its support. It's pretty satisfying to laser beam Zeds and watch him dismember and explode into mince, while the floor is splattered and is pretty much maintained for the entirety of the game. I also like the new enemy models, particularly the Sirens. The way her head mechanically moves up before she does her AoE attack is just so cool. Or the big bad Skrakes and Flesh Pounds, and the fatty bloats. Tripwire decided to change things up with the Zeds by adding in elemental strengths and weaknesses, encouraging variety, importance, and attention. Thankfully the game has an inbuilt codex where you can see each and every Zed. as well as their weak spots. Strengths indicate reduced damage to that Zed with that particular element, while weaknesses indicate increased damage to the Zed. For example, the Scrake takes reduced damage from cut, ballistic, and corrosive elements, but takes increased damage from fire and electrical. I feel like these more or less apply to multiplayer than they would in solo, seeing that there's more players and more players means more elements to work with. So if you have the right element for the job, use that to kill whatever's in front of you. However, there's a few issues. Crawlers being the same colors as Sis? Silly. Change them back to black or a color where they're easy to distinguish. Husks are the most annoying enemy to deal with in Killing Floor 3 because of being able to fucking jetpack and jump around from place to place. They either need to hit them from a certain angle or force yourself into an interior in order to safely dispose them. I said it before in the stress test, and I'll say it again. Please get rid of the jumping and flying on these guys' tripwire. It's fucking annoying. If you're enjoying the video so far, consider liking and subscribing with notifications turned on. For those who are new, I'm Pepsilk and I make all kinds of gaming videos, from reviews to memes and anything I find of interest. Any support is appreciated, and I thank you for being here. Bosses are memorable in these games for a few reasons. They try to provoke you and talk to you, which can either make the fight either entertaining or annoying, and they looked really cool, from the mechanized matriarch to the juiced up Hans Volta. I'm not sure how I feel about bosses in Killing Floor 3, because on one hand, they're a bitch to fight and can be hard if you don't know what you're doing, which is a good thing, but on the other hand, they're not as memorable or cool looking. You have the Impaler, which is Co-op's most difficult boss as far as the subred is concerned, that has a knife for its head and a bunch of weak spots. The Chimera, who's huge, and the Queen Crawler, who loves to burrow and spawn creepy crawlies during its second phase. Like, they're okay in terms of boss design, but nothing out of the ordinary or unique. I hate that Patty or the Patriarch didn't make it to the release, but I have no doubt Tripwire are probably going to bring him into the game at some point. I don't know, these bosses are just not interesting to me. Maybe as time goes on and I fight them more, I'll learn to appreciate them, but not right now. The most disrespectful thing about bosses in this game though, removing the boss celebration at the end of a match. Yep, instead of just being able to abuse and shoot the boss until they're mincemeat in Killing Floor 2, you just stand still and watch the boss fall. No shooting or throwing your dosh in the air. Why? Killing Floor 3 has everything you'd want in terms of a modern shooter. Sprinting, dashing, sliding, and climbing, all working pretty good. Movement is really important because you'll be using it to dodge attacks, from dashing to the side to sliding down a slope and just getting around quickly. Also worth noting that you move faster with your knife out. It can definitely feel a bit janky at times and not as fluid as something like Apex Legends, so it needs some work. The foundation is there though, and it serves its purpose well. Expect to see all Hell on Earth videos to be players sprinting and dashing around like it's some rhythm game. Killing Floor uses a mechanic called Zed Time, which slows the game down to a pulp, giving you full movement while you mow down Zed after Zed. Previously in KF2, this would be triggered by random, but in KF3, it's triggered by filling up a meter up the top, which will then trigger for everyone off of certain conditions, such as headshots, parries, or near-death saves. It's a bit odd how it works currently, and I'm not really sure if I like this change. Mostly because the randomness of it all from KF2 made it feel like it was natural instead of just building off a meter now, which to me seems lame. Sure, there could be times where you're reloading while it's happening and you can't make good use of it, and this new system helps to offset that, but knowing that everyone's getting it at the same time as you, it kind of sucks. Off-perk weapons actually work really well in this game for the sheer fact that you can level your class up no matter what weapon you're using. For example, if you decide to buy a commando gun for your engineer, all XP will go towards the engineer, not your commando like before, which allows for even more experimentation and fun, since passive skills like weapon damage carry over to all weapons. This is probably the closest thing we have to perk freedom for now. Killing Floor 3 currently offers 3 difficulties: normal, hard, and Hell on Earth, with each changing Zed health, their numbers, damage, and movement speed. Going from hard to Hell on Earth is a huge jump, and without suicidal difficulty, it's making me wonder if they'll end up adding it back in the future. The levels are pretty good, offering verticality, traps, doors, turrets, and armor lockers which can be opened with a handy tool, the multi-tool. If you've come from the stress test video, I previously mentioned that the multi-tool is a crutch tool for the simple fact that it opens up the map immensely, and while I still feel that way, I'm eager to take back one thing about it. You're able to unlock zip lines, which allow travel from one place to another, traps that kill Zeds but can also kill big Zeds at a cost to it being jammed, doors that provide quick access to places, turrets that give you more firepower, and armor lockers that let you restore your armor to full. Great for clutch situations. Like in previous games, starting the maps is key to success, and once you figure out your strategy and path, it'll be like clockwork. And with turrets, I realized that you can just activate them by holding the interact button instead of just using the tool, so that's nice. God, where do I begin? Specialists in this game are currently locked to classes, so you can't pick Foster for a firebug as an example. It's said that in the roadmap they're planning to change that, but that's in Season 2, which won't be for another few months. Why don't they just do that now? I may not be a game developer, but I have no doubt in my mind that it probably takes a few bits of code to quickly change that. Fuck it, just do that in a patch or a hotfix. The dialogue in this game is terrible. So terrible in fact that I turn my battle chatter volume down to 0 so that I can stay sane and away from the cringe while I continuously shoot Zeds. They lack any sort of personality and humor. And look, at the end of the day, humor is subjective, so maybe it's just me that doesn't like it, but they're not interesting or fun to hear, period. Here's hoping DJ Scully comes in and saves the day. Yeah, DJ Scully. I appreciate Tripwire for at least putting bios in and trying to build their character up. In 32 hours of Killing Floor 3, I've had one crash, frame drops, and stuttering. Playing this game solo, the game actually ran like a dream, so I was cycling between playing solo and multiplayer. I can't say the same for multiplayer though, as it was just a complete mess of frame drops and the game just shitting the bed with 6 people cooped up in one spot. It's atrocious and needs optimization as soon as possible. Here are my current graphics settings from a Ryzen 5600X and a 3080 in case anyone needs a performance boost. I was averaging around 80 to 120 frames, but this game is CPU bound as mentioned before, so your performance may vary. Also in 32 hours of Killing Floor 3, I've had the following issues. Server disconnects, Zeds appearing alive even though they're already dead, a hacker lobby where one wave gave all of us 60k dosh each, good to see easy anti-cheat working, an 8-player lobby which actually has potential and was pretty fun, as the game is supposed to be capped at 6 players. LTM when? Autofire bug where my gun would just randomly shoot even when letting go of the trigger. Zeds getting stuck at a location, like a spawn location or a spot, getting stuck on a tree, bullets not registering, sound wave shots not registering, multi-tool being consumed from an already used trap, sound effects being inaudible for a time, assignments not being completed, matchmaking not working, forcing a restart. Ugh! There's more I don't remember right now, but to say that this game is bugless is a huge understatement. It's not surprising to see the stress test be pretty much the same build as right now, but it's disappointing to see this many issues with the game that even though it'll be ironed out, it's unacceptable. Tripwire should be thankful that the gameplay has kept me going for all this time. Since I brought up assignments, I think it's a good time to talk about the Battle Pass or the Supply Pass as they call it. It's pretty much your standard Battle Pass, although it works a bit similar to Helldivers 2, but that's probably because of how it looks. Complete daily and weekly challenges, earn XP to gain points, and spend points on free and paid rewards. On the bright side, they actually give you enough creds, which is their premium currency to buy the next pass or skins from the shop, meaning that you only have to buy one of these and you'll be set for life, saving you money in the process. The skins in the pass, however, leave a lot to be desired, as they're just shitty recolors of the default skin. This is not the first time they've done this, as the majority of KF2 skins were pretty much the same thing, with some exceptions. Honestly, forget about the money, just do what Deep Rock Galactic does and make your battle pass free. It'll save the hassle of getting negatively reviewed for it and everyone can live happily ever after. There are a ton of issues and decisions that I don't mind by any means, but it all correlates to one question. Why? Let me list a few. Commandos no longer seeing health bars. It's been a staple for that class for years and they just decided to often remove it. No passive stat bonuses. To an extent, this has been compensated with the proficiency system and skill levels, but after watching Pathfinder's video of him playing Hell on Earth and every enemy being an absolute bullet sponge, we may need to bring this back, possibly through prestiges? Consumable syringes. An interesting change, so no more infinite heals. You just get 3 syringes and use them when you absolutely need to. Not bad in solo, but more annoying in co-op because you need a healer in order to withstand massive amounts of damage, so survivability drops a bit. Welding being replaced with an explosive door tool. Pretty silly change, but the idea of welding and holding down a spot was a great strategy for players, since you're usually playing in one spot. This tool is just useless because it just gets destroyed so quickly. Removal of suicidal difficulty. This difficulty was designed to bridge the gap between hard and hell on earth. Difficult, but doable. Hell on earth is a huge step up from hard, and I see a ton of players struggling unless they've played the game a lot or they're a veteran. Not being able to move around while having the scoreboard up. No ping or latency number. This is annoying because the game has no region lock matchmaking, so they just put you in lobbies and you can kind of gauge your ping based off of how delayed animations and shooting are. Armor tiers. Yeah, I won't even bother going into this one. These are just a few of the questionable decisions that Tripwire have made to Killing Floor. Some of these may be addressed, others may stay the way they are, but they also just feel unnecessary to where it just changes the game for no reason whatsoever. I hope that this video gave you enough information on what to expect as either a new player or a fan, but in terms of my opinion, I'm on the fence of both recommending it, but also waiting for a sale. At this point in time, I'm a guinea pig for this game. I say this with a firm mind because of the fact that from the way this game is launched, it looks and feels like early access. Something that Tripwire clearly didn't take notes on because another game did this a few years back. There's plenty of dumb fun to be had, and when the game works, it can be solid, even if it's for a few hours or longer if you want to go the extra mile and try other classes. Your mileage will obviously vary depending on how much you're willing to deal with these issues or just want to play the game for, but as it stands right now, for long-time players, this is a monstrosity. To the new players or even the rare long-time players, they're having fun with it. The foundation is here, and I wouldn't call it dog shit, it just needs work. A lot of it. If you're new to Killing Floor and haven't played any of them before, I strongly recommend KF2 as it's more polished and has heaps of content. It also goes on sale for relatively cheap too. In terms of recommending it, I'd only recommend it if you have no other horde shooter to play and just want to play this one, or you just want to play something new. If you're in no rush and don't want to deal with UE5 slop, wait for it to cook. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. If I missed anything, comment down below. I'll have more coming to you soon. Peace.